Today I'm going to show you how I make our peach oat breakfast cake. So this is all we'll need. This is a double batch, so technically you could just get one of these jars. This is a, let's see here, 1 pound, 7.5 ounce jar of sliced peaches in 100% fruit juice. You can use fresh as well. This is just what I have available, and it's a very convenient recipe if you just use these. Do 2 of those. I'm going to use some baking powder today. We're actually making this because we have a friend coming over, and she is not a healthy eater, but she absolutely loves this peach cake, so we always send her home with some. You could also get either just eliminate this entirely from the recipe. I often make it without it. It's just not quite as fluffy, or get a salt-free version if you're trying to reverse disease. And then I have some vanilla. You could totally use vanilla powder as well. The cake really needs quite a lot of this to make it super tasty, so I definitely would not eliminate that. And then I'm going to use quick oats today. You can totally use rolled oats, I often do, or you can slightly blend rolled oats. This is just easier for today, and it gives a little bit more of a flour-like consistency without going completely to flour. I'm going to use my immersion blender, a big mixing bowl. I'll get a mixing spoon as well. And then just a Pyrex baking dish and some parchment paper so it doesn't stick. So I just preset my oven to 375 degrees, so it'll be ready to go when I'm done throwing this together. And now I'm just going to go and drain these. I don't need any of the juice for this recipe, so I'm just going to get rid of that. All right, so I have my 2 drained cans of peaches in here. I'm going to add now 3 tablespoons of vanilla. And I know that's a lot, but it adds a ton of flavor and is really yummy. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my immersion blender, which is one of my most used kitchen tools. I use it all the time. I really prefer it to, whenever I can. I avoid my food processor, and I avoid using my Vitamix. I pretty much just use that to make sauces or the odd thing. But mostly I try to use my immersion blender. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this. I'll meet you back here in a second. Okay, so this is all blended, and I'm going to throw in now just 1 teaspoon of the baking powder. I wait until now to do it because I'm trying to maximize the frothiness and lift it gives. So I'm just going to put that in, and again, I'll just blend that for just 1 second here. I find that mixes it a little bit better than just doing it with a spoon. All right, so rinse that off. Okay, so now we need oats. So I'm going to put in 4 cups of oats. That tends to be the right amount. If your jars, if you're living in a different country or something, your jars are different, or you're using fresh peaches, just adjust the oats until you have the right consistency. And the right consistency is sort of like a brownie batter, kind of on the runny side, right? Just like a cake batter. You can't really go wrong with this recipe, so don't fret too much. I'm going to do 4 cups. My cup measurement is in the dishwasher, so I'm just going to use half cup measure to do this. 1, 2, 4, 5, because I'm doing half cup measurements. Now, this recipe is one of my kids' favorite breakfast bar recipes that I make, and we really call it peach cake because they actually, for years, this was the request as part of their birthday dinners. They love this as their cake portion of that meal. Now they often choose blueberry crumble, blueberry crisp. I think blueberry pie, we call it sometimes. I shared that on the channel a while back. So, but this is much loved by them. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and mix this together. And because it's the jars that I use, it's actually quite consistent that I need exactly 4 cups of oats. If I'm using fresh ingredients, I really do kind of add or subtract oats, usually add, depending on how big or how wet and how big the fruit is that I'm using. But I have variations of this on the YouTube channel already, made with everything from applesauce to bananas to with bananas and cocoa powder, pineapple. There's a pineapple banana vanilla version, which is sort of like pina colada. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the consistency of this. Okay, so it's just that kind of almost like a little bit like a drop cookie. Okay, kind of consistency. My oven just preheated, so I'm gonna show you how I just put this into the parchment lined pan. Okay, so I've just ripped a piece of parchment paper to fit over top. I know you could do all sorts of fancy things with wetting it and crinkling and whatever. I don't find it's necessary. So I just carefully make a pile in the middle like that. And then I just use the batter itself to kind of even out the sides. My kids are busy playing outside, otherwise they'd be standing here waiting to lick the bowl. I love it. So, what you do want to make sure of when you're making these kind of bars is because there's no fat element, it's not going to spread at all, really. So it'll rise a tiny bit because of the baking powder, but it's not going to spread. So you have to make sure as much as you're able to make it as even as possible, fill in the corners, and try to have the same thickness throughout as much as you can. All right, so I'm just going to finish flattening this out, making it as even as I can, and I'll show you it right before I stick it in the oven. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure this is kind of flat so it doesn't hit the oven. And I'm going to put this one in for about 40 minutes. That's usually about right. Some of my other ones, my other breakfast square recipes seem to take a little bit longer, but I find with the peach cake it's pretty quick. So we'll start with 40 and see if it's brown to my liking. Okay, so I ended up leaving it in actually for 47 minutes. So it's kind of browned here on the sides a little. It's firmed up. I do find this cake doesn't get quite as firm as the banana-based ones. So I'm going to let it cool in here just a little bit. And then I'll just lift this out maybe after about 10-15 minutes and transfer it onto this cooling rack. All right, it's pretty nearly cool. So I'm just going to show you. I usually cut this into, there we go, okay, into 8. So I do in half, quarters, and then straight across. And actually for our friend, she likes smaller pieces, so I often do that in half again. But this guy, the taste tester, is a fan, ooh, that's like a cord in there, sorry, is a fan of large pieces. So it's still even.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just cut it in half.
The whole half.
It probably burst, which is unfortunate.
Do you want an edge piece?
Yes, yeah. That's a nice big one.
Okay. So tell us what you think. I'm gonna go wash the knife.
Kind of tastes like ketchup. No, it tastes very good.
Are you kidding? I was telling them it's one of your guys' favorites. I would say, hey, you used to ask for it for your birthday until I started making blueberry pie.
I was trying to figure out what is the exact opposite of sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet and tasty. All right. We hope everyone found this helpful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know if you've tried this recipe or tried it with other fruits. It's just a great recipe. I use it for my kids for breakfast, some variation of this pretty much every homeschool day. So I was going through and editing this, and we realized that we should probably explain why Mylan's face looks like it does. What happened, Mylan?
I got hit by a hula hoop.
Yeah.
Someone threw it like a frisbee, and it came out of nowhere and smashed into my head.
Yeah. You handled it pretty well, though.
Yeah, now
but
it's
it was kind of painful. It was
scabs.
pretty like swollen and everything, but it's healed up quickly. A few days. Anywho, that's why it looks like he has chocolate all over his face.
Which is maybe suitable for a cooking video.
Okay.